Welcome back to another episode of Consciously Clueless. I'm your host, Carly, and I'll be your guide on this journey from consciousness to cluelessness and back around again. Thanks for listening to another Sunday solo episode. Whether it's Sunday night and you're gearing up for your week, Monday morning and you're on your way to work, or whatever day this podcast has found you, I'm really glad you're here. This podcast is sponsored by TerraSeed. TerraSeed is on a mission to disrupt the vitamin industry, empower vegans, and reduce plastic waste in the world. They put everything plant-based people struggle to get in an all-inclusive, vegan, compostable package multivitamin that replenishes them and our planet every single day. Seriously, y'all, win, win, win. Even if you're not vegan, this vitamin will help you get those key nutrients that you need. I am so excited to share a discount code for your first purchase. Use code CARLY50 at checkout to get 50% off. Again, that's CARLY50 for 50% off your first purchase at terraseed.com. Don't forget this code so they know I sent you. Okay, today we are continuing on with some spooky themes because it's Halloween, and as we established, it is my favorite holiday. But one thing, another spooky, scary thing I wanted to talk about is meditation. Now, I talk about meditation a lot on my Instagram, on my podcast, in the newsletter, wherever you hear from me. You've probably heard me talk about my own meditation practice or offering guidance for others. So I'm obviously a fan. But I wanted to talk about this idea of meditation as being kind of scary. There seems to be holdups for people when thinking about trying meditation. And sometimes it feels to me like people are scared. And I wanted to talk about maybe why someone would be afraid to start meditating, and is there any validity to that? Should we be afraid of meditation? So I personally totally understand if you were afraid to meditate, because I was. I was afraid, and I didn't chalk it up to being worth much, I would say. And I also was like, what if I'm not good at it? Sitting quiet and not doing anything is the opposite of how I generally operated in the world. So loud and moving quickly, I guess. But I was not great at sitting still. So I, one, was afraid that I just wouldn't be good at it, and I hate not being good at things. And two, I was like, but what does it do? What is it doing for me? Like, is it spiritual? Is it religious? Is it going to do something to me? And it can be spiritual. For some people, it's religious, and it is going to do stuff for you. So why are people afraid of meditation? Or what is the fear around that? Well, sometimes it's really valid because, well, of course, it's always valid. But sometimes that may be coming from a place of experiencing it once and maybe feeling something or getting tapped in a way that was scary. When we meditate, we actually learn to slow down and listen to what we need and listen to what our bodies and our minds are telling us. That is really scary for some people, because when we avoid the things we need to work on, we can pretend that they're not there. We can avoid them and deal with them later and put them on a to-do list. But for me, at least, meditation brings those things to the forefront. It makes me have to see the things I've been avoiding. And that is, honestly, once in a while I skip meditation. I'm just not in a good enough place to hear the things I don't want to hear. But for the most part, it leads to me knowing more. And I love to learn. Knowing more about myself and about how to feel better is really important to me. But I see why people are afraid. What if something comes up that I can't deal with? What if something comes up that I'm not ready for? What if I feel more lost? What if I feel more lost? What if I do this practice and it actually just makes me fall deeper into a hole of despair? I get it. I get where that fear is coming from because I can totally relate. But the beautiful thing about meditation and about these mindfulness practices are that they actually teach us to be more whole and to be less scared. Because ultimately, if you can hear those things, that means you're ready to hear it. The universe isn't showing you anything that you're not ready to hear. So it might be scary at first because we're not used to it. Or maybe it makes us confront something we didn't think we were ready for. But I guarantee if it's coming into your worldview, you're ready to confront it in some way, shape, or form, and that may take time. There have been times when I am meditating where past trauma has come up. And I know that there is a fear for people who have survived any level of trauma that may happen. In a past life, I worked as an advocate for survivors of sexual assault and dating violence. And being quiet, turning the TV off, falling asleep, anything that could leave them alone with their thoughts was scary. And specifically tapping into your body, this thing that maybe you feel like has betrayed you in the past and you don't really trust. It can be scary to think about tapping into that, and what if things come back up? And that's something I can't tell you isn't going to happen. But when it does for me, I now have done the work to have the tools to be able to use it and to process it and to feel better about it. And now when it comes up, I can move through it in such a different way because of practice, because of practicing meditating and practicing connecting more to myself, whether it's my mind or my body. So meditation can be scary. That's probably not the answer I'm supposed to have, since I literally am trained as a meditation and mindfulness coach. But it can be. I cannot deny that. But just because it's a little scary doesn't mean we shouldn't try, or doesn't mean that there won't be really amazing benefits for us in the long run. Yesterday, I taught a yoga class to a group of 5th graders. Some of them were not into it. Some of them were just like, this is not the journey for me. And one of them was just like, it's too hard. And we hadn't even started yet, so there was no practice to base that off of. But this little 5th grader was pretty convinced. And so I asked the big group, I asked them what were things that were hard for them, but they knew were important to practice. And they started raising their hands. Math was the one that came up the most, which I totally relate to, and science and a few other subjects that were hard for particular students. And I asked them why they kept trying. And they said it was important, and they knew that. And I compared yoga to that, because yoga is mindfulness and meditation is a part of yoga. It is helpful for our mind and our body, and sometimes it can be hard. Sometimes it makes us tap into things. Sometimes it makes us move our bodies in ways that maybe we're not used to. But we know it's important to take care of ourselves, so we should try. And that's what I would urge you to think about meditation in that way. Because if you've never tried, and the reason you've never tried is out of fear, I hear you. But I bet you can think of other times in your life that fear didn't stop you because you realized that the fear maybe wasn't based in much or was worth confronting. And I think meditation is one of those things. And now for some of you, you're like, meditation is not scary. And that's amazing. I am happy for you. But I understand, because I was in that same place where it was just a really scary thing to think about. And if that's you, I get it. If you need guidance, I am here. I would love to work with you as a breath and mindfulness coach. But if you are not at that point, or you just want to try on your own, my favorite app of all time is Insight Timer. I use it every single day, at least once, to help guide my meditations and my mindfulness practices. And you should check it out and see if that helps. You can get guided meditations or different sounds, whatever is kind of best for you. So if meditation is scary, I get it. But I hope you try, and I hope you let me know how it goes. Thanks for listening to another episode of Consciously Clueless. If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe wherever you're listening. If you want to help me get this into the ears of more listeners, send it to a friend, text it to a family member, share on social media. Whatever you can do really, really helps me out. If you haven't yet, head over to patreon.com/consciouslycarly and check out the growing community over there. You can get yoga videos and meditations and healthy living tips and behind the scenes podcast content and so much more. And finally, of course, don't forget, if you need guidance in any of this, I would love to work with you. Reach out to me at consciouslycarly@gmail.com. Until next time.